Many thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this week's video.
Good morning. Welcome to another video. I am in my home state of North Carolina today. Just trying to catch the last little bit of fall color before it is all gone. It's amazing. You know, I always plan months in advance for the fall, and it just comes and goes so quickly. No matter how much I prepare for it, I feel like I just can't maximize it, or I just can't get enough out of it as I would like to. But I'm in this woodland area. I've only been here one time before, but I was here last year. It was well after fall last year, and I had definitely missed all the fall color. But it was just such a beautiful woodland area, amazing hardwood trees, and it wasn't super chaotic. You know, there was a lot of, I guess you'd say, kind of evenly spaced trees, if that's a thing. But it just wasn't a super chaotic woodland area, and I felt that it'd be a great location to come to try and capture the last bit of autumnal goodness before it's all gone for the year. So I just entered this area and just kind of looking around for just some interesting grouping of trees, and of course with some that brilliant fall color as well. Well, the sun is starting to come out. It's kind of partly cloudy conditions, which is pretty good for this type of woodland photography. I did just stumble upon the scene behind me, which I think definitely has some potential. It's got a nice kind of S-curve to this little stream. There's some nice kind of fallen logs across the stream, adding a little bit of additional visual interest to the background. Of course, tons of really nice fall color, a lot of nice fall leaves, kind of blanketing the banks of this stream as well. And best part is it rained overnight, so everything's a little bit damp. So the colors are really going to pop in these leaves, especially when you put a polarizer on. The scene is a little bit busy, but I really like the S-curve of this babbling brook, if you will. Of course, with the fall colors kind of blanketing the sides of the stream as well. So I do think there's a little bit of potential here. I'm just going to try and set up a shot and see if there is a way to kind of simplify the scene a little bit. So let's see what we can come away with. There's some really nice light that's coming through, and it's just kind of illuminating a lot of these leaves over here. The right side of this image, though, I'm afraid the light might be getting a little bit too harsh. Kind of comes and goes a little bit, but a few of the images I've taken, I have a pretty good feeling that the light's going to be a little bit distracting. It's just not that kind of nice, soft, subtle light. And I'm not 100% sold on this composition either. I mean, it's okay, but I think it kind of lacks a focal point, almost lacks a little bit of story. I think it needs a little bit more atmosphere to kind of pull this type of an image off a little bit. I'm going to kind of play around with the composition a little bit more, maybe flip it into a vertical or a portrait orientation to see if that can kind of tighten up the image a little bit, keep it a little bit more focused, because the sky is a little bit distracting. You get this kind of
because the canopy of trees isn't thick enough to block out all the sky, so you get these kind of little pockets of highlights kind of popping through, and I always find that to be a little bit of a distraction. So I'm going to kind of continue to work this scene a little bit more. I might need to get the camera a little bit lower to try and alleviate some of that sky, but I'm going to spend a few more minutes trying to perfect this before I move on to try and find something else. Ooh, that light is starting to get harsh now. One thing, so I was just talking a moment ago about kind of how I'm struggling with this composition a little bit. And one thing that has really helped me is to play around with, you know, I had mentioned putting it in a vertical orientation or a portrait orientation, or moving it into a landscape orientation, and kind of bouncing the physical camera position around. But something else that has helped me is to actually change the aspect ratio in the camera to kind of just visualize and help me conceptualize what a potentially different type of crop might look like in post, to kind of help me to see if this is a composition that's worth kind of sticking around for. I'll show you what I mean right here. All right, so what you see right now is just a standard kind of 4:3 aspect ratio, but I can actually change this to, you can see as I rotate this around that the aspect ratio on the viewfinder is changing as well. I can change this to, say, 1:1, and now it is cropped in on the left and the right side. And now you can kind of recompose your shot like that. And I think that's really cool, because you don't have to wait till you get home to, you know, put it on a crop or a specific type of, you know, a 16:9 or 1:1 aspect ratio to see exactly what it looks like. You can do it in camera while you're on location, and I find that to be incredibly helpful, and especially in situations like this, because a lot of times you might have in your mind like, oh, this would look good in a nice square 1:1 crop, and you might be thinking that. But being able to visualize it in camera and to be able to make those composition changes while you're on location, being able to do everything in real time, in my opinion, is a real game changer. So, and I think this is a perfect use case for that exact scenario. So I really do like the way that 1:1 or the square aspect ratio works in this particular situation. So I'm going to take a few more versions with this. Well, I did not make it very far at all. Maybe, I don't know, a few hundred yards down the trail, and I found just all that harsh light was coming through. So I was trying to figure out, you know, how can I use that to my advantage? And all of these leaves in this area I found are all backlit by the sun, and the leaves just look like they're on fire, and it really, really looks good right now. So I'm just kind of capturing a few of these, and I got these 3 giant pine trees right here in kind of like a pyramid or a triangle shape, just kind of anchoring down the entire composition with all those autumnal leaves in the background. Like I mentioned, they really look like they're on fire right now, and it looks pretty good. I don't know how well it's going to translate in post, but it's something that definitely caught my eye. So I'm going to continue to take a few more of this kind of version here, but I do think that this will look better in kind of a widescreen or pano type of a look, or pano, I should say, crop or aspect ratio. So I'm putting on my long lens here, the 100 to 200, because I think it's going to isolate the areas that I find the most interesting in this actual scene, and which is just those leaves that are backlit in the background. I think that the trees in the foreground with my 23mm prime, since it's a prime lens, really don't have a whole lot of flexibility or latitude there. I could move up a little bit, of course, but it was just capturing too much of the scene. So I'm going to put on a long lens and just kind of isolate those leaves that are being backlit. I think that's going to help create a little bit more of a focused image. This is another fantastic use case right here of just changing those aspect ratios in camera, again, just to try and conceptualize, or I should say visualize, what that kind of a widescreen or 16:9 kind of pano look would actually look in post, instead of having to wait till I get home to see it. You can actually see it in camera. I'll show you what I mean real quick here. So once again, this is the 4:3 aspect ratio. And then if I change this to, we could do 16:9, we could actually even go really extreme and go 65:24, and you can see what that did right there. Or we can kind of go back again. We could try 1:1. We could try, that's the 16:9.
I actually think that kind of extreme pano looks 65 by 24 looks pretty good right there. So you can see how beneficial that can be to actually change the aspect ratio in camera while you're on location. Really helps with the overall creative process. Now, I don't know if every camera can do this. I didn't start really doing this until about this time last year, and I've been doing it all throughout 2021, and it has really helped me out. It's probably one of the most beneficial camera settings that I have changed the way I use, although I never used it before. So I guess I should say I started using this year. And I just think it's fantastic while you're on location to help visualize what a crop or a different way to compose an image might be. Like I just mentioned, not sure if every single camera can do this. The majority of the cameras I have used over the past 6 or 7 years, I believe can do this, but definitely want to check and do a little bit of research to see if you have the ability to change the aspect ratio in camera and visualize that change, because it is something that I have found to be extremely beneficial for just that overall visualization process while you're out. So there's, I think, still time. It's still fairly early, although all those clouds that were out earlier this morning, I can't 100% tell, but I see a ton of blue sky, and that light is getting a little bit bright now, but I think we still have time to kind of wander around this woodland area to see if we can come up with another composition. I hate to leave, the fall colors here are just so fantastic, but nevertheless, I'm gonna just kind of pack things up here, wander down this trail a little bit further to see if I've got a kind of an idea of what I'm looking for, a more intimate scene of just a lone tree with some just explosive fall color. So I'm gonna head down the pathway a little bit farther to see if I can find that. So I had to rush around a little bit because the light on, I'm not sure if you can really see it, that tree has been really nice for the last few moments, and I'll show you the composition in just a minute, but I've been kind of rushing around, tried it with the wide lens, put on the long lens, put on the polarizer, just trying to move through the the setup process as fast as humanly possible. But I really like this composition. You know what's so funny? It's exactly what I had mentioned a few moments ago of what I was looking for: an intimate detail, or I should say an intimate scene with some nice fall colors, with some good light. Maybe it's got some good texture contrast between two different trees. I'll show you exactly the composition right now, but I really like the way that this one is coming together, and this is by far my favorite composition of the day. So there is the scene right there. As you can see, very simplistic, but the light right there is absolutely beautiful, and all the light hitting the fall trees, and there's a little splash of red and orange behind this main tree here, and you got different textures. So I'm just trying to see if there's a way. I really want to keep the blue sky out of the frame here, and as you can see, kind of up here, if I zoom out a little bit, here's the kind of the composition here, but if I go up too far, you start to see a lot of that blue sky in the upper left-hand corner, and I want to eliminate that. Those three trees right there in the middle of the frame, that's the most important part of the composition to me. So I really want to kind of zoom in on these and just pick up as much of that fall color. And there's that little patch in the upper right-hand corner of red, which I think is very complementary to the overall composition. So I think something about right here looks pretty good. Let me brighten this up just a little bit so you can see it better. I think right there looks good. And then if we come over here and start to play around with the different aspect ratios, we could do a 3:2, 16:9, 1:1, a square. kind of turn that just a little bit. You can see what that does. Or we can come back, see what a wide pano kind of shot looks like. Something about right there. I think that looks good as well. So lots of different compositional choices to choose from when you start to change those aspect ratios in camera. So that's one of the camera settings that I just started using within the last year, and it has really helped to kind of spark a little bit of creative flow, I guess, whenever I'm out on location. Helped me to visualize what an image might look like after cropping it in post-processing, just to kind of possibly alter the composition while you're on location, or just to try and get a better sense of what the final image might look like. And that 1:1 or the square aspect ratio is probably my favorite. With all the sides being equal, it just really simplifies the scene. It has a very unique way of kind of cutting out a lot of the noise and just kind of creating a more focused composition. And of course, a 16:9, that pano look, that widescreen look, that's synonymous with film, has a very cinematic look to it. That's also a lot of fun to play with. And then the 4:3 aspect ratio of the medium format camera I absolutely love, or the 3:2 aspect ratio that is more, I guess, synonymous with full frame and crop sensor camera. So just being able to change those in camera. If you've never tried it before, first check and see if your camera has that. And if it does, absolutely check that out, because I think you'll have a ton of fun. And like I said, it'll really help you to kind of visualize and conceptualize what the end product or the end image might look like when you're out on location. What an absolutely fantastic morning out here. I hope you're able to capture some fall color wherever you are in the country or wherever you are in the world this year. This has been a nice kind of end to the season. I'm not sure if it is the end, but it's starting to draw to a close here in North Carolina. And I'm not going to have an opportunity to do a whole lot of shooting over the next couple of weeks, so this might be my last opportunity. So I'll probably kind of stay in this location, maybe just put the camera away and just kind of soak it all in and just relax and just listen to the leaves fall. That's such a zen and relaxing sound. I absolutely love it. But before I do wrap up this week's video, I do just want to say a big thanks to the sponsor of this week's video, which is Squarespace, who I use for all of my website and e-commerce needs.
Squarespace provides a dynamic and attractive online platform to create your website. You can display your photography using Squarespace's professional portfolio designs and customize the layout and look and feel of your gallery just so you can make it your own. With Squarespace's traffic overview feature, you can track trends in page visits and views to better optimize your content, and you can even grow and engage with your customers with Squarespace's email campaign tools, which will enable you to create engaging emails that match your website with your products or blog post and logo, just so your messaging remains consistent.
So if you're looking to start a new website or possibly upgrade your current website, check out squarespace.com/MarkDenney for a free trial and 10% off your first purchase. So as always, I really do appreciate you watching this week's video. I hope you're able to get some helpful information as it relates to a camera setting that you may or may not have ever thought about or have even tried to apply to in your camera while you're out on location. So I do hope that was some helpful information that you can apply to your kind of on-location workflow next time you are out and about. And as always, really do appreciate you watching this week's video. If you did enjoy it, if you could give it a thumbs up, definitely helps out the channel, helps out the video perform better. And subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And as always, I really do appreciate you watching this week's video, and I will see you all next Wednesday.